Welcome back to the Training121 PODCAST. For episode 5 today, we're going to go with a Premier League prediction show. As always, thanks for obviously the support on all the platforms that you can listen to this on, and as always, leave us some feedback and let us know what you think. So, we'll explain the rules, I suppose.
Yeah, give us the rules. G doesn't even know the rules, so hit him up.
Obviously, it's a competition.
Well, I know the rules.
Yeah, I know. So do I, Morgan. What I'm trying to say is that for the people that are listening, we need to express that it's not just an opinion thing. There's a bit of competition in this.
Yeah. Okay. So obviously, as the lads have just said, it is a competition. We haven't fully decided on a forfeit yet, so we'll leave that down to anyone who wants to comment and let us know of a forfeit that we can. Something obviously we can record as well, because it'll be some funny content to see. So how it works is we've each written out from first place to 20th for the Premier League, obviously, where we think each team will finish. If you get it correct, so let's say you say, I don't know, Everton finish 6th and they finish 6th, you get 0 points because you've predicted where they're going to finish. If they were to finish 4th, you get +2, or if they finish 8th, you get +2. Loser is the person with the most, or who was the most places off the correct.
So most points loses.
Yeah.
Best you get
so lowest score is the best.
If you get 0, league, it's 0. Yeah. So
free Nando's if you get 0.
Can I bring something in here?
Yeah.
Can there be an award if somebody gets 0?
So I just said free Nando's.
Yeah.
From the boys. So the boys contribute.
So there's a losing forfeit and there's a winning.
If you get 0, which is highly unlikely, I will buy you a Nando's.
You heard it here first.
You're not getting.
But you're not going to get it. Like the odds of that are slim at most.
So we're gonna go. We'll start from the bottom first, and then obviously that will leave us to peak with the first place. So we're gonna do the relegation. So the 3 we think we get relegated. Mid-table, so from just above relegation to 10th, then or top half of the table, and then obviously top 6. Yeah. So do you want to start off with your 20th, 19th?
Rock
18th?
bottom, Fulham. 19th West Brom, and I have 18th West Ham in there.
Okay. Any particular reason with them?
Well, Fulham, because let's be honest, they don't have much going on. They were decent in the Championship, to be fair, and the one threat, and he was actually good yesterday, to be fair to him, Mitrovic is a good player, but he's getting up there, so I just don't see any firepower. Now, they did sign Knockaert, but unproven in the Premier League. He was terrible for Brighton when they went up. I just can't see them doing much. West Brom, again, they have a good side actually on paper, and they've done a good deal to get Callum Robinson. They swap out Ollie Burke with Sheffield United, but again, just I don't think they have enough firepower. And do you see they signed Ivanovic?
Yeah,
Ivanovic, 36 years old. So man, good player. Experience is important, so I'd say he's a good dressing room man. And then for West Ham recruitment, I think they signed, I don't even know how to pronounce his name, like Soucek or something like that. I've no idea who he is, and I just can't see them doing well. They were poor last year, West Ham. I'm surprised Declan Rice didn't move on as well, so they've done well to retain him. Other than that, I just cannot see much going on for them.
What constitutes a relegation team?
Depends on where they were last year.
Yeah, like you look at West Ham finished 16th last year. West Brom obviously promoted, and Fulham got promoted. Now back to back, like to go up and go down is quite a common thing to happen. And I just can't see. I don't think Fulham and West Brom have enough firepower after coming up. Like they did sign Callum Robinson for West Brom, but I just can't see it. Like defensively, they're not bad, but it just
they're not one.
There's just not enough. There's not enough. Like Mitrovic 2 or 3 years ago playing for Fulham, he's a real threat, and he still is a threat. So you need like a reliable front man. If you look at Southampton last year, without Danny Ings, they're in real trouble last year. You need that talisman either on the offensive end, or you have a really reliable back four, or just a really good system. Like you look at Leeds are obviously going to stay up because they just have a system and it works, and obviously they've got some great players, but for them it's quite blatant that they're going to do well. You know, what's your 3?
Mine. So I have Fulham 20th, West Brom 19th, and then Villa 18th.
Okay.
Again, along what Morgan said, especially with Fulham and West Brom, if you're a newly promoted team, you either need to score goals or stop conceding.
I'll be reliable. And you look at
one of them in your locker.
Like Fulham have conceded what they conceded 4 yesterday to Leeds, and the week before that, who were they playing the week before? I can't remember. There's too many goals, too many games. I can't keep up with it nowadays.
But so and then for Villa, I think they escaped the last year. I thought they were very, very, very lucky.
They did. They finished 17th last year, so they just
if Watford
Just
hadn't done the
borderline.
whole managerial sack and things like that, I think Watford would have stayed up at Villa's expense. So
Yeah.
I'm the exact same as yours.
really, from Fulham, West Brom.
Yeah, I think it's quite similar. I think the main things of what constitutes a relegation team are increased fluctuation in signings, so like a ridiculous amount of signings to
In and
change
out,
to a
yeah.
system, abandoning what made them successful in the Championship and
Yeah.
not tweaking for what they are coming into.
Mm-hmm.
I find that Fulham, I think for the team that they are, in regards to how expansive they are, they don't have the players for it. I reckon they will concede a lot of goals.
Yeah, they will. They will.
And don't forget how demoralising conceding is. That's just like a snowball effect.
Yeah.
I think they're going to finish dead last, to be honest,
Mm-hmm.
with a really low score. West Brom and Aston Villa. I think Aston Villa just avoided relegation last year, and West Brom as well. I think overall, with how they kind of set up and their style of play, I think they might get some good results.
Yeah.
They're odd, like
Mm-hmm.
they kind of Norwich last year, taking points off City. They kind of had that in the locker for 1 or 2 games, but I can see West Brom beating the teams that I have from 10th to 15th.
That's the problem. That's a good point. With relegation, obviously sometimes it takes gaps like City and all last year. Those like little games. A lot of teams I think will take points off United this year because they're very, very, very vulnerable for those types of teams, and like teams like that. But it's not those games you got to win. If you can get a point or 2 points or a point or 3 points every so often, so if you can take, we'll say the top 8, if you can take 6 to 9 points off them, that's good going. But from 10 down, you've got to be winning games, and that's where the problem is. If you can't take points off them, even just 1 point on the road all the time, you're really, really, really going to struggle because you can't rely on taking those big scalps.
I think it's 36 points is the average of what you need to stay up. So what's that like? 16 points over. Yeah, I think like non-negotiables. You have to win all your home games from teams that are in and around 15th down.
Yeah.
So I think like obviously there might be a nice little passageway into the next bit of the conversation. But if we want to loop back around, you named your relegation, you named relegation. I'll go into my next team. So
Yep.
Go next 4, let's say.
yeah, so working up the table, Fulham 20th, West Brom 19th, Aston Villa 18th, West Ham 17th, Sheffield United 16th, and Brighton I have them 15th. Reasons being, I think Brighton are a better version of what West Brom are. I think they've got a little bit of firepower as well. For what they are, to be fair, they've maintained a system that has survived in the Premier League for the past, I don't know actually how many years it was, but they have done well. I think Sheffield United have taken huge blows in regards to key players. And I find that when a club comes up with a system, so they come up with a really innovative way of playing with 3-5-2, I find that dwindles very quickly once teams now have a little sniff of what they're going to do, like plans are set up. And if you take key personnel out of a unique system, I think they're going to really struggle. So I don't think they're going to be at the same level last year at all. And I think, like for Villa, West Brom, and Fulham, just with them, I can't see them taking points off Brighton, Sheffield United, West Ham.
Yeah.
They'll be struggling. So
Yeah.
that's what I have from 15th. So do you want to go there, Gary?
That's 15th, yeah. So for mine then, from 17th to 15th, so 17th I have West Ham just escaping relegation, 16th Brighton, and 15th Newcastle. Again, Newcastle and Brighton I think will be safe enough. I think West Ham are the ones who will really fight out with Villa for that kind of last relegation final relegation spot. Like we were saying, Brighton I think are more of a steady ship. Like I don't think they'll be going out having 4-3 games with teams like Fulham might. And I think Newcastle are kind of the same. They'll get them kind of 2-0 wins, 1-0 wins around the teams around them, and that's what's going to keep them up there. So they're my 3 for there again.
I was tight between Villa and West Ham to go down. So I have Villa at 17th, Brighton at 16th, and Burnley at 15th. Like Brighton, I have them I think quite low, considering like they made 2 good signings with Lallana and Dendoncker. They're both good players. Obviously Lallana's obviously getting a little bit older now, but they're good. It's good recruitment from them, especially in central areas. But again, I just don't think they have enough firepower. Now, to be fair, the opening game against Chelsea, I watched it. Connolly and Maupay were very good up front, the two of them together. But even on the day, Chelsea were poor and they still turned them over 3-1. So I don't really have much hope for them. 16th would be probably a decent finish considering the standard in the league now. And then same with Villa now. Villa brought in some good players. They brought in your man Traore. Ollie Watkins from Brentford is a very good player. He was a very good signing. And then Matty Cash as well from Forest. He didn't really do too good at Forest. He's a good young player, and I remember him for a couple of years when he was 19-20. He was very well regarded and hasn't really worked out for him. And another great signing was Martinez off Arsenal. He's a very good goalkeeper. Quite underrated, and he's done very well to break in considering Leno's injury last year. So and I think they needed a goalkeeper, Villa. I think that's why they actually might get away with staying up this year, because Martin is a very good goalkeeper, he's reliable. I think they need 15th. That 15th I had Burnley. Burnley's recruitment was quite poor. Burnley finished 10th last year, and they're a good side, really well organised. Sean Dyche will always organise his teams very, very well, but I just can't, considering the standards, Southampton are in a good situation with Danny Ings playing well, Newcastle, all those types of players. I just can't see them
being better
breaking that, but they won't be too far off, I don't think.
Then we'll go 14 to 11th, and then we can obviously go straight into the top 10. So for me, I got Newcastle 15th, so I had Sheffield United 14th, Southampton 13th, Burnley 12th, Palace 11th. Sheffield United is kind of for a similar reason, like Gary said. I think them teams that have really good first years up with some sort of unique style, or they stick to their principles when they come up. They then struggle sometimes the next year because teams can set up against them, can organise themselves, and again you need to adapt slightly on your second year. You need to either make signings or somewhat adjust the style of play. Obviously we haven't only this has been recorded on game week 2, so we haven't seen much of obviously what teams are shaping up like this year, but
it can change very quickly.
I wouldn't be surprised if Sheffield United finished 8th, or if they finish 18th. It's kind of like that. You just don't really know what a team's second, as they call it, second season syndrome, where they can just literally fall apart. So that's why I've kept them 14. I think their manager is a very good manager, so he could do a Sean Dyche and really steady the ship if they do start slipping down, and that's why I have them 14th. Who would I have then? 13th, Southampton. I think I really like their manager. Even with Danny Ings, if they can keep him fit. How many goals did he get last year? He was up for the goal.
He was very, very close. I don't know how many goals he had.
So
again, very good.
If you have a goal scorer in the Premier League, you're going to do well. If you have someone who's hitting near 20 goals, it's so important.
The recruitment wasn't the best though. They signed Walker Peters obviously on a permanent. He was there last year. I don't rate him that highly, but at least he's consistent to some degree. Other than that, they didn't really recruit. The top teams I found in the Premier League this year recruited really well. Got some really big names. Really big names. And the lower teams kind of picked and choose. One or two picked up some good players. So recruitment's been kind of odd this year.
Then I had
what did you have? Which one did you go up to?
12th, and then Palace 11th. I think Palace showed yesterday against United they'll be the best of the rest, essentially.
I think so. Dynamic front three.
They've just got quality.
They do quality. Yeah. Palace is the next factor.
They do, and they've got 3.
I was going to say, so just on from 15th up. So I have Southampton in 14th, primarily for the same reasons as you. I think with a goal scorer, but again, I wouldn't be surprised they were relegation contenders. I think if you take out their big player,
Danny Ings.
But again, we were talking about steady ships. I have Burnley 13th and Newcastle 12th. I think the two main clubs that are steady ships are Newcastle United and Burnley. They'll always be thereabouts for mid-table. The reason why they're not in the top 10 is because there's too much quality in the top 10 at the minute. I don't think they have that level or that gear in them. But they've got a goal scorer, Southampton, and proven Premier League experience. I don't think that is so important. I don't care what anybody says. Having experience is huge, and that's not just for players. I'm talking about the club. They know what to deal with or how to deal with situations. Sean Dyche, Burnley's 13th, probably fair. Don't think anyone's going to dispute with that. And I think Newcastle are just a better Burnley. I think I watched Jeff Hendrick the first game of the year, and I was actually quite impressed, considering that's a player that and to be fair, I think a lot of Irish people will be kind of concerned about in regards to on the ball premise and stuff, but you can score goals.
He does break lines quite well once he's given the role to do so. I agree with that.
It'd be interesting. Will I go 11th and 10th as well?
I need to name mine.
11th is mine. Palace is away at 11th. Who's your 11th?
Crystal Palace.
Best
of the rest.
I also have Palace 11th. So for 14th, I had Southampton. All of ours are quite similar. 14th Southampton, 13th to finish exactly the same as they did last year, Newcastle. Like they're Jeff Hendrick, good signing, and then the two Bournemouth boys, Callum Wilson and Ryan Fraser, are both good players. If Callum Wilson scored on the opening day, if he can bang in 10 goals this year, him, St. Maximin and all them, that's a good side. Steve Bruce, they'll be consistent throughout the year, like you were saying. I can't see much change in there. Sheffield United, after finishing 9th last year, I have them at 12th. Like you were saying, they could have, like, it wouldn't surprise me if they finish 7th, or it wouldn't surprise me if they finish 19th. It could go either way for them. I think if they can get off to a good start and reach that 36 points early, and like maybe before January or a little bit after January, I think they'll be safe, they'll be comfortable. And then 11th I have Palace. Now Palace I rate very highly. Their front three is so dynamic. Jeffrey Schlupp, Zaha, you've Michy Batshuayi, and then Benteke to come back. And like that is a threat. Townsend as well. That is like dynamic as can
Jordan
be.
Ayew as well.
Yeah, and they also signed your man Eze from QPR, who's a very good player. They have a lot of like goal scorers in their talent. It comes from multiple different places as well. And like you have, I know Townsend had 1 goal last year, and he scored his first goal of the season yesterday against United. So him playing wide right, I actually rate. Remember at Spurs when he got into the English setup and then got a really bad injury? Off wide right, he is really, really good cutting in on his left. A bit like, obviously not comparing to Robin, but he kind of plays that role similarly. And then if you can get Eze in that 10 role, or maybe wide left, and then Jeffrey Schlupp, Zaha, and if you can get Benteke and Michy getting a couple of goals, there's so many goals you can get in there. And then you've got the best thing about Palace though, you have all that, and then you have like Scott Dan, MacArthur, reliable players that have been in the league for years, and they're just consistent.
Best of the rest.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think with a young dynamic front three that they have, that they can interchange, not just relying on Zaha. If Zaha's off, Michy might come up with a goal, Townsend might pop up with a goal. I think they'll be best of the rest is the best way to describe them.
And into the top 10 now. I think we're all quite similar so far.
Similar, yeah.
But we'll go 10, 9, 8, 7, and then we'll do the top 6.
Go to 7.
Yeah, so we'll go the next 4 from 10 to 7. 10th I have Leeds. I think we made a point there talking about teams come up, they need to stick to what made them successful, and I think Leeds will do that, obviously knowing their manager, unbelievable manager. We've obviously all kind of been following his, we'll say, story over the years, and the influence, if anyone has read anything about football, will see the influence he's had over a lot of the managers at the top of football, your Pochettinos, your Simeones, your Peps, all these kind of managers. So I think Leeds will have enough. They're going to have some crazy games, as
they already have.
in their
2-4-3s,
but they can score goals. And they're just so unique that teams will find it difficult to deal with them, and I think they'll take points off the top 8.
They will.
Yeah. With Wolves 9th, it's going to be difficult. You made a good point about Sheffield United, where when you lose players when you have a unique system, you could struggle. And you look at Doherty is the best right wing back in the Premier League, so suited to that 3-5-2. And obviously losing Jota there today, or yesterday, to Liverpool, another serious footballer for the way they want to play. So
they've been cherry picked.
Yeah, they have.
They could finish like down 15th if they don't get it right in that sense. So I have them 9th, hoping they stay in it, because I really like them as a team as well. Then I have Leicester 8th. Again, I think they'll drop off a little bit, because I think Everton, who I have in 7th, are going to be very, very, very good this year. Everton's transfer business,
it's been excellent. It's easy to say that, but Ancelotti behind it is the main thing. And like, obviously he's got good players to work with now, but
and 2 really underrated signings in Everton is Decore and Allen.
Yeah,
they're both.
Decore is excellent.
Like, Decore is a serious Premier League midfielder, and then your man Allen, he's a quality player as well. And then look at the balance they've got. Dominic Calvert-Lewin's really coming into being a Premier League centre forward.
Highly rate Dominic. He's a younger Harry Kane. Obviously, like, not as similar now, because he's a little bit younger. He's probably a little bit more dynamic, but Dom does not get appreciated enough for how much of a nuisance he is. He's a big man, and he's so physical. Like, I know in the commentary they compare him to like Duncan Ferguson because he works with him in Everton, but he's very fit. He's real old school. He likes to get in fights. He's really good at hold of play. He affects things. Like, the amount of times, and especially with James like lingering in and around there, if he can affect second balls and stuff, they can be excellent.
Yeah, 2 teams I'm really excited to see are Leeds and Everton. I'd say. I Wolves 10th. Primary reason, unique players taken out of the system. I wouldn't be surprised if they snowball to 15th or 16th. I had them in 10th because I think currently with the system and the management team that's in place, I think they're good enough to maintain a steady ship this year in terms of rebuilding. Leeds United 9th. could have put them higher, but I think at this level, with that sort of system, goals will be shipped. And I think the quality in other teams will be too good to claw back goals, if that makes sense. So I would be surprised if a Liverpool or a City turned them over by 6 or 7. I wouldn't be surprised at all if they hit Liverpool for 3. I've seen the first league game this year, so what a team. I don't think you can predict what's going to happen with a Bielsa Leeds.
Erratic.
We were watching the game last week, myself, you and Dara, and that's actually his first
shout out,
shout-out,
Dara.
by the
Well
way.
done, Dara. Congrats.
For the shout-out.
Well done, man.
And I was sitting there before, I said to him, and I don't know if you were there at the time, but I literally just went, this is going to be 4.
Oh yeah, you did. You called it.
I don't know who's going to have the 4, but it's just going to be a mad game, and it obviously was. They'll be class to watch.
Yeah, similar to you guys. Wolves 10th, Leeds 9th, Everton 8th. Can't wait to see Everton play. The only reason I don't have Everton higher or Leeds higher is there's well-oiled machines above them.
Yep.
Who've been doing it for year in, year out.
Who do you have 7th? Leicester.
Manchester United 7th.
Oh well. Oh, Lord,
we're all United fans for
us.
context, so
Christ.
Do I talk about United 7th?
yeah, go on.
Please don't.
Go for it.
Keyword inconsistency. Inconsistent with every regard. Inconsistent transfer business. Inconsistent styles. Inconsistent systems. I thought there was a little bit of a saving grace before the end of last season, even before the Europa League games, but when it comes to the crunch, they don't show up really. And in terms of, like, if Man United were playing Aston Villa away, my nails would be being bitten. So
that's the problem. Yeah, like
okay.
playing Palace yesterday, I wasn't comfortable with the 4.
I can't see United beating the bottom clubs comfortably. I can't see them competing with anything above them. The only reason I have them in 7th is because Manchester United are well oiled.
Yeah, they'll grind results.
I mean, they'll
every
have
so
a break
often.
2 months and they'll collect serious points.
Like last year.
It'll keep them alive.
And the big issue with United is, like you said, when they're playing them lower down teams who will sit in and they just don't seem to be able to break them down. You'd obviously hope people like their new son Van der Beek and Bruno or them style of players who could obviously break that down. What United want is a game that's just constantly flowing from end to end, because that's when they're obviously their pace on the counter attack will help, which is why they'll probably like turn over Chelsea and City and Liverpool and beat Arsenal twice,
because they'll play against them
and they'll still finish 7th, like, because you'll be like draws from you.
They'll struggle. Yeah. I think like they'll really struggle against Leeds, or that game could be 5-5 or something like that. It's crazy because you look at United's front 3. If you were to take it not off yesterday, so if you were to go Rashford, Tony and Mason, they're all very similar. Like they're all very, very similar players. They all kind of do the same thing. They all want to defeat. They all want to drive. Ball carriers to feet, or they all going behind. Like depending on the system we play. Or if it's if we're like, that's the problem. I have an issue with Rashford, Tony, and Mason getting it to feet, especially in an advanced 3. Like you look at yesterday when Palace were sitting. None of them are actually good 1v1 players in advanced areas, and it's a difficult thing to do. Obviously, like I'd prefer the likes of a Zaha in there when people drop, because he's just so creative, you don't know what you're going to get. While them, I think they're all very predictable in how they play, and Tony's not on number 9.
No.
So I think we'll struggle against those teams more so. I think we'll do well against City, I think we'll do well against Liverpool, Chelsea, all that. I think we'll do good jobs on them, but I cannot see us turning over Burnley, all those types of teams, and that's almost embarrassing to say.
And we'll shift goals as well.
Yes,
well,
real issues yesterday.
Yeah, like
real issues.
So,
yeah.
Right, who's next?
That was your 7th. Did you?
No, I didn't. But although I'm back in United, good finish.
I have back as well.
10th, I have Wolves. For the same reason as you, they've lost 2 key players in their system, and they haven't really recruited at all. Now, if Jimenez bangs in 20 goals, they could finish slightly higher, because Jimenez is probably in the top 5 Premier League strikers at the moment. He's a very, very good player. 9th, I have Leicester, dropped from 5th last year. Again, didn't really recruit well, but are consistent, well oiled. They'll be consistent. They'll have a good year. Leeds, I have 8th, and I have them over Leicester and Wolves because of how erratic they are and how much I think they're going to turn over both top teams and bottom teams. Like you look at yesterday, they played Fulham, who I have rock bottom, and they only won 4-3, but they won. Like although they can leak some stupid goals, I think they'll outscore more teams, because the way they play, and even look at their keeper, sometimes he tries to play out and it gets intercepted because he's still young. I think by January, if they have their system down where they play out and they don't get caught, I don't think they'll be able to be catched.
Yeah.
I think if they stop leaking mistakes after a couple of months, I can't see them concede many goals. That's where the main problems come from, is when they just are so goddamn erratic playing out and they just get nicked. But they're so good going forward. Helder Costa, great signing. Rodrigo, if he bangs in 10 goals plus this year, then you're getting goals from other areas like Jack Harrison and stuff. Yeah, absolutely. There's so many, and they've got a solid with Phillips is a good player, and they've got a good back four, just reliable. And obviously, the only thing that they get caught out is just playing out reliably. 7th, I have Everton for the same reason as yous. Great signings, unbelievable manager, but it's a big jump. They came 12th last year. 12th to 7th is a huge jump. Now, if they can do it, fantastic. And on paper, they should do it. The Core is probably the best signing. Obviously, James Rodriguez, huge, big player, class as one of the best in the world. The Core is the main one there, because without the Core, I think they'll really struggle. And Allen is a great signing as well. Unbelievable. Like the two of them just basically keeping the back door shut and allow James to bomb forward. Like you seen yesterday, James' pass too, and don't forget Richarlison. Richarlison is absolutely unbelievable. Dynamic is the word I'm going to use for him as well, because wide left, wide right, up top, big nuisance in the air, wins so many fouls. Yeah, unbelievable in the air, good hold of play, good off both feet, good in the channel, good to feet. He's so good, like so dynamic. Same with Dom, and you've got other players that will mix and match in there as well.
Even got good bench players like Bernard. If they don't
Bernard's a good player.
Defence like
they look like a new Leicester.
Yes, they do. With
a nice.
I wouldn't say it's like counter-attack based as Leicester were, but they have their own style. Exactly.
Yeah, I mean, like, under Ancelotti being a threat to the big four, the big six.
It's interesting. The only reason I had Leicester 8th is because I'm looking at Arsenal and Spurs, who weren't particularly great last year in the league, and I'm just thinking they're going to be way better this year. So if that wasn't the case, you'd have, if the two of them were, you were going to say would be poor this year, I'd have Everton and Leicester up at 6th and 5th kind of. I just think, again, we'll get into the top.
I'd say we go on to just 6th and 5th.
Yeah,
6th and 5th.
For me, I went Spurs and Arsenal. I think now with Bale coming in, like I wrote this down the other day, but with Bale coming in, Jesus, like he could just turn it on and get 20 goals and 10 assists, and they could finish 4th.
Tunnel's stats about Bale: more goals than Brazilian Ronaldo, more trophies than Zidane,
and more assists than Beckham.
More assists than Beckham.
Underrated. Yeah. He's been a meme for the last 3 years. That's the problem. And I'll even now when he signed like all this golf stuff and that, it is funny, but like he is almost disrespected as a player. Unbelievable for years, and he still is like
he's 31 now and he hasn't played a lot in the last year, and he's coming into the most competitive league.
He is, but it's not like he's the only one in there. Don't forget, you've got Bergwijn, you have Harry Kane, you have Lucas Moura, you've got Lo Celso, you've got Son. Good players, like very good players. So it's not just like Bale's thrown into a poor team. He's got loads of players around them.
Shout out to Dara again. He just goes to me last night, just sitting there, and just goes, Bale, Kane, Son. But he's right though. Like Gareth Bale, in terms of not playing games, that's minutes, not in the legs.
True.
But explosive.
But I think the beauty of it that he's not going to be just like relied on. You have the best centre forward in the league with Aguero. Okay, so it's very, very tight. Obviously, I rate both them very highly. I'm a big fan of Harry Kane. So you're not just relying on Bale for goals and that's it. It's not like he's thrown into a poor side. I think defensively they'll struggle. I think their midfield three is quite average, but they have so much firepower. That's why I have them. I also have them 6th. Because they just have so much firepower. If Bale's not scoring goals, doesn't matter. Harry Kane will. Harry Kane's not. Bergwijn will. Lucas Moura, Son. There's just so much threats in there. I think they've got so much rotation. They'll eventually get something right. If they get into a flow and they win 2 or 3 games and they just keep that rhythm going, I think they'll pick up lots and lots and lots and lots of points. Who do you have 6th, G?
Leicester in 6th and Arsenal in 5th.
I think Arsenal will be very good this year.
Yeah, I also have Arsenal in 5th.
So Leicester, I think the most well-oiled machine in regards to the system and the style they play. I like Brendan Rodgers, but I have an awful goo in me when he's in jobs for a long time. Celtic is, kind of brushed that aside.
Write-off, yeah.
I think, I don't know what it is. Like, I'd love to be in a dressing room with him. Like, I'd play for him, hands down. I would. But I'd be interested to see this year. I just have a weird feeling. I think with what they are, like, I think in a team like that, it needs a little bit more new blood. particularly because of how dynamic they are on counter attacks. Yeah, I think 6 is fair, and I can't physically back it up in regards to like stats or just
sometimes you just feel
there's
it.
a good feeling in Leicester. Every time I play Leicester or say with United, I'm like, oh here, like this is going to be a game. Arsenal 5th.
We all have Arsenal 5th.
I think with Arteta coming in and having those X amount of months under his belt with a pre-season,
2 trophies
is huge, and I think they're playing a style that is probably trying to replicate what a Man City would, but they have different firepower in different areas. I think the signature of Aubameyang was huge for the club.
Massive.
He's a massive player, and I think they can mix it up with Lacazette as well. I can see Arsenal winning games 1-0 away from home, and I can see them dominating at home.
Yeah,
and I think overall they'll be a really tough unit to match, but we all know Arsenal.
Yeah, I know, but that's what I was going to say. For the first time in years, since they've been slagged and stuff for years being Arsenal, I feel like now they actually have something.
Yeah.
There's a little bit of something going on in the club. They've signed a good centre half. I can't remember what his name is. Your man Gabriel.
Yeah.
It's a good player, reliable. He looked a little bit dodgy in the first few minutes of the first game, but then he got comfortable. He ended up scoring. Keeper should have said that, but he seemed confident after a while. Obviously, it's difficult going into your first game in the Premier League, but I think with him and a solid back four, Leno's a good goalkeeper. They've got a good midfield three, and like Aubameyang, like you said, the signing of him is huge. Like now you've got a figure to rely on for the club. It's like it's always been for the last couple of years. People stay, and then like you look at Van Persie shipping to United, winning a league. Now I think people actually want to go to Arsenal. They're attracted to Arsenal. Good sign of Willian. He's a good player to have. Will.I.am. Imagine Will.I.am playing right wing, whipping in crosses.
That's a great sign though. He's
a great player. Probably underrated as well. People underrate his ability, and even this sounds stupid, but set pieces and stuff. If he's on the pitch, he's a threat from set pieces. He hit the post in the first game. Small little things like that. But there's a feeling, like you said with Leicester, there's a feeling with Arsenal now that for the first time in years, where I feel like they actually could be a real threat. Even yesterday they scraped the win, but they weren't doing that years ago. Like Nketiah came on, or I don't think he started. No, I think he came on scoring the 86th minute, but that wasn't happening in Arsenal a couple of years ago. Scraping results. So yeah, I think that'd be a threat.
Do you want to go?
We'll go fourth and third.
Do you want to start it?
So we'll fourth and third. We've got, for me, I went United fourth. I think I'm being ambitious with this show as well, especially after seeing that yesterday. But I'm going to stick with fourth, and I have Chelsea third. And the main reason Chelsea are above United is I think some of the signs they made have been serious players, and the only issue is, will they all gel into that side? Will it work for them? A very young manager managing a lot of like top players. But if they click, they're going to be serious. So they've got so much quality now. It's ridiculous. And then they've just got that. When you think of Chelsea, you always think foundation, a solid foundation. All they're really missing is, I think, a top keeper, and they'd be
and they know. I think they'll sign a player in the next couple of days.
I think.
So
I have fourth and third.
Yeah, Lampard came out and said they're not going to sign a keeper.
Really?
Did he? I didn't see that. I think they have to.
The only argument with Chelsea, I'm going to have a little back and forth with you, Gary. I have Spurs fourth and Chelsea third. Spurs fourth purely because I think Jose Mourinho's team doesn't ship a lot of goals, and they have firepower, as Morgan said. And Morgan was talking about like they might not have the best back four or an average midfield three, but I think if you take a back four out and have three players in front of it with that 7-man unit with a goalkeeper and just have your front three, they'll always score goals. And that'll be a tough unit to break down. I think Spurs even could finish third. Really challenged. Chelsea third, too much quality, I think, not to be in and around the top three. Interesting with Lampard. It's going to be really fascinating, I think. Chelsea. Serious talent though.
How close do you think Chelsea will, or we'll do your fourth and third, and then we'll see how close you think your third place team will come to the top two.
Well, I have Chelsea in fourth to stay the same, and I have United in third, which is audacious to all to stay in third, but that's absolutely being biased. I'm just going to say it.
Just get that out there.
Recruitment from United has been absolutely desperate. Van de Beek's a good player.
It's
good
just
signing.
Consistent the last few years.
I've seen a lot of things like it's kind of a trend that, like, Ollie came in, he got some good signings, ended up doing very well, coming third. We shouldn't have finished third last year. We did. And now that it's like, now we have it, we're back to some sort of rhythm. Push on, go sign 3 or 4 really, really good players that fit into the system, and we've got one. And even at that, he's not like an absolute world beater. He's going to be a good player, he'll be a good player for us, but there's a lack of something in United that, and it comes from multiple areas. Like, you look at Maguire and Lindelof yesterday, that goal from Wilfred Zaha is criminal.
Eternal.
Like, disgraceful. That should not happen in a Premier League club at any level, let alone Manchester United. I think if we sign that fella Telles off Porto, he'd be a very good player. I think we lack a left full. I think we've been happy enough with Luke Shaw because he's not notably and he got caught. That's what I was going to say. I was like, he hasn't been notably like found out, but goals like that are just criminal. Like, they cannot happen. The one Towns on the back post, like, you, as a fullback, you've got to sniff the danger there.
Like, you think Liverpool
aren't conceding that goal. City aren't conceding that goal. You just have to be like reliable. We have a good attacking force. You look at all the names, but to me, all they are is names. Like, there's not enough. I'm not relying on Martial now. His stats are quite good for scoring goals, but he bangs them in against bang average teams. Like, I'm not relying on Martial to pin a centre half, set someone to score, or spin the channel. It's just not happening. So I don't think. Now, although I have them third, I don't think the front three is reliable enough to outscore teams, considering how poor we are defensively. Now, if we bring in 2 players, it could change completely. I think if we can find a run of form, like we said earlier with United, like we did when Bruno came in last year, I think we have enough creativity now in the middle of the park. You look at Pogba, Bruno. Pogba was muck yesterday, but Pogba, Bruno and Van de Beek is a very good midfield three. There's goals in there, there's assists in there, there's just creation that we didn't have a couple of years ago. And then if the front three starts eventually banging them in, we'll see. But
no back door with that.
Yeah, that's the problem. That's what I was saying. I can't see us outscoring. I'm not relying on Tony to outscore. But I'm sticking with my third. Something's going to happen. Something's going to click.
Ollie out by January. You heard it here first.
Do you think then that your third place being United, they are just not going to be in a title race?
No, I don't think it'll be close. City and Liverpool, I think, are going to walk.
You've Chelsea third, don't you?
Chelsea third, yeah.
Do you think
I don't think Chelsea will compete either with the top 2. Do you? Now, if they start clicking, maybe, but I can't see it happening. I think Lampard needs another year.
What was the gap between second and third last year? It was probably like
a lot,
like well over 10 points. That's anyway.
Well, actually, maybe was it?
Well, because City kind of
between second and third.
Yeah. I think it was a big gap.
United and City now it would have been a bit because United were off.
Yeah. It's hard to tell.
I think Chelsea next year
way
could
too
be
far ahead. So that obviously takes us into our top 2. Yeah, maybe next year for Chelsea. I've gone Liverpool second, City first.
So
City second, Liverpool first.
I think, to be fair, it's going to be a serious title race.
It'll be either it could be Liverpool, it could be City. I just put down Liverpool.
We're not going to win everything this year.
Do you think?
I don't think so.
The signings
have been absolutely fantastic. Jota is although everyone's like, where's he going to fit in? Imagine him in Europe.
I was saying to you last night, I was saying to the lads, remember, like, the top United teams, you just filter one in, filter one out. Like, remember when we signed Van Persie, people were like, what? Like, every top.
Yeah.
They are going for the juggler this year. They are going. It's not just Mane,
and I think
Salah and Firmino.
I agree.
Here, have a little break there, playing that group game. You know, playing that
and not just game. Like fill numbers.
Yeah,
he'll be a threat.
Exactly. So you're not like diminishing quality on and off. You can rest your top players for the big games. I would be surprised if Liverpool walked.
Because you look at their bench last year. Like, you're looking at Divock Origi, obviously done very well for them, but he's not like a world beater. Now you've got Jota, who's a top Premier League player coming in off the bench. You have like a lot of dynamic players.
Levels to Liverpool. I think like they were top last year, they're top this year.
I think this is their year though. If they don't win 2 trophies this year, I don't think they'll do it. I think this is their year to do it. This is the year to do it. Now I could be wrong. They could recruit again well next year, or just have a good year this year and then look to progress next year. But I think, like you're saying, I think they're going for the juggler this year. Not just the Premier League. They're going for Europe. They're going for the domestic cups. They're going for everything. And I don't blame them, because it is the year to do it. It's the year. Although Chelsea have recruited well, Arsenal are looking good, Spurs are looking good, Everton are looking good, Leeds are going to be a threat. It's the year for Liverpool to do it. And if they don't, I can't see it going back up to that level again.
Thiago's the best ball player.
And then Thiago, don't even get me started on Thiago. I didn't even want to mention him. Brings a tear to my eye.
We've obviously went City. Both of us went City first.
Yeah.
What rationale do you have for City staying first?
What rationale?
Yeah.
I think, like you said, I think Liverpool are going to go and howl for every trophy, because I think if you're in Liverpool now and you're thinking back to the like great United teams and things like that, like them teams don't doubles and trebles and these things, and it would be in the back of your mind thinking like we're not going to be considered the greatest ever unless we do a double. Well, even if it's the FA Cup and the league or the Champions
trophies,
League, and
just trophies.
Like they needed to. Now, yeah, they need a 2 trophy haul, I think, this season if they want it, and if they do get it, if they win the Premier League and Champions League, they're one of the greatest sides in Premier League history.
Yeah, they have to do it.
And that's what I think they're going for, which is then going to leave. I think City will go pure focus on the league. Although last year they seemed to push for the Champions League, you always get the feeling with City that they don't really care about the Champions League. It's like because everyone talks about it, they've no history with it. Like Liverpool have history with it, so they'll go for it. United even have history with it, and even Chelsea to a certain degree have history with it. But City don't. So Liverpool aren't gonna hit the points tally they hit last. Like they were ridiculous last year in the league, and I think that will leave the door open for City to capitalise.
I think City have to go for the jugular just on the league. I think they have to retain the league, and then from there they should worry about Europe, because they need to win domestically first. To then go and focus.
I think it would be very close this year.
It would be very tight.
What have Man City done from the end of last year to this point now that puts you in any stretch of form above Liverpool?
Well,
Liverpool
you look the gap last year with Liverpool and City started in the first 10 weeks with Laporte out injured. So they were very part. Like you have Otamendi playing weekend,
and
Fernandinho, come on, come on. That's just not going to work. Like Otamendi is erratic as they come, so they're going to leak goals, especially how like openly that they play. So now I think a great signing was Nathan Ake being a left-sided centre half, and he can also play left full, which they also struggled with last year. And when Mendy was out, and you're trying to fill in with João Cancelo and all that type of stuff, a left-footed player is important for City. So they lost that balance last year with Laporte, and then obviously sometimes with left full. So Ake is a good signing. Laporte's fit, I think, and your man Fernan Torres that they signed as well, 20 years old, good centre mid. It's like a new era of David Silva. If you've got Phil Foden having a good year, obviously KDB will probably destroy again this year. I think they've just got too much firepower. Now Sané, I think
it's a big loss.
It's a big loss considering how, but they didn't play with him last year as well. So I think it'll be tight. It wouldn't surprise me at all if Liverpool go and do it and they win 2 or 3 trophies. But I just think City have too much class, and I think defensively, I think they'll be I'd like to think they'll be a little bit more solid this year with a consistent back four to start the year at least, and the gap won't go from here to here within 10 weeks, because Liverpool had it won last year in the first couple of months, because the gap was far too big. City didn't have the players to go and challenge it, and City were the only ones that were going to be close to them. It's going to be the exact same this year.
Now that I think about it, I think Liverpool and City are going to drop a good few points this year, so I actually do think Chelsea will be, whoever's in third place, I obviously think it's going to be Chelsea, but whoever's in third place I think will be in a title race this year. I think
it'll be tight though. It's going to be a very good year, because you look at that, like if you consider even my top 10, I think we all have the exact same top 10, just different orders. But even like 10th, you have Wolves, who are a good side. 9th, I have Leicester, good side. Leeds, good side. Everton, good side. And then the top 6, Spurs, Arsenal, Chelsea, United, Liverpool, City. There's a lot of quality in there. Probably the best quality we've seen for a couple of years. So it would be tight. It could fluctuate massively in between. Like Everton could slip up to 5th, or Arsenal could drop, or Chelsea could drop, or Chelsea could go up to 2nd.
That's crazy.
It could go either way.
It is
we'll
crazy
see, though.
How much these can fluctuate. Like we're like thinking, like I'm saying, Leicester 8th, they could finish 12th, and Southampton 13th could finish 20th. Like it's so. It's so
very unpredictable. So the predictions are quite out there. Like it could go one of many ways. So we'll see. We'll see how it happens. Who do you think? Do you back yourself to win? I think United could do me over, but
this is the first time I've ever done this.
Yeah, I've never.
It's really interesting to see you can see the difference.
I don't think we can. I don't think one of us can predict we're gonna be correct.
No, I definitely someone we're all, yeah.
United to you is probably the most different one.
Yeah, it's just.
Other than that, I think we're all.
That's just me being an idiot.
Take the cap off. You're gonna lose.
Oh, we'll see. We'll see.
If you won and United came third, I'd be happy.
Yeah.
So.
Well, I'd like to think so.
Is that a wrap?
Yeah, we we need to get a forfeit. So the loser has to do a forfeit unless we think of something. Can't really think about it at the minute. Let us know something you think would be funny for us to do. Obviously, if it's
either comment it or just DM it on Instagram.
Yeah,
we'll probably open a poll or something like that as well, or a question box.
Yeah, a couple of decent ones. Yeah.
Yep. And
as always, yeah. Thank you
super.
for the support. Really appreciate it. We obviously, some of the players we've been training the last couple of weeks, we've been coming up and talking about the podcasts we've been doing and offering suggestions and really enjoying it. So again, really appreciate feedback, likes, comments, following our social medias. There's obviously various ones. Other than that, thanks for listening.
Super.
Again.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.